good morning. Good morning, United Kingdom. Good morning, everybody. And welcome to another week. Another exciting week. Many opportunities and many events. That's the way to look at a new week. When you have uncertainty, sometimes it can be exciting. It's like having a present in a big box and you don't know what it is. Maybe a little ring in a big box. And it may be ring in a little box. That's the surprise. So today's saying, quote, is that the world is full of wonderful, lovely people. I agree with this. And if you can't find them, just be one of them. It's quite difficult sometimes. I think you get caught up in lots of negativity about the environment around you. But I think staying happy, which is a piece of advice I give to lots of friends, people who I care for a lot, just staying happy. It knocks out a lot of the unnecessary friction, negative energies that you have. And even though we accept that some of this negative energy is coming from other people or the environment that you're in, staying happy, just being a happy soul, can create goodness around you, irrespective of where you are. And I say this because there's lots of anecdotes. People live, excuse me, people living in the third world, in a 4 by or a 6 by 10 room with all their family together, no convenient, no amenities of any kind, no real income, limited sources, but always happy, always smiling. The human mind, the human heart has the capacity to change the people around it. And I think Bob Geldof, the gentleman who started the One World, the band, I think, or the song and the raising charity, he said very honestly, very clearly, that one man can make a difference. And I know a lot of you will say, well, he was already rich and famous, had to pick the phone up and lots of people would turn up, but that's not the case. Sometimes being famous or rich is a lonely place. You don't have lots of friends, you have lots of acquaintances and people who are looking to get something from you. And it can become a very lonely place where the noise around you is only subject to the time that you have something to offer. As soon as you lose that position, that ability to offer, the noise fades away. It's a very deep conversation, very deep topic. Talking of deep, we have a man with deep pockets. We have the ever brilliant, ever inspiring, ever motivating Lakhi Singh waiting backstage. So without a further ado, let's have him on. Lakhi Singh. Good morning, sir. The
Good morning.
alternative
How are you
business
doing?
distribution community. How are you doing, sir?
Very well, thank you.
Excellent. So you're a man who's obviously in the square mile, man who has um, a lot of success, people wanting to take advantage of you all the time for that success. How do you manage to strike the balance? How do you manage to stay normal, um, even though you're rich and successful?
I think you got to be looking to strike a balance all the time. You can't be letting go, just thinking everything's going to be fine. You got to do your prayers every day, look after your health, make sure you eat properly. So I think it's just doing basic things in a
Yeah,
disciplined
but
way.
some people will say that's all just talk. It's very difficult to be consistent. It's all right for you. You're successful and rich. Consistency is probably normal to you. You're used to having, long working hours and being up early morning in the office, getting on with your work. For those people who are in, say, in a semi-depression, those people who are depressed or they've got, a lack of godliness in their life, or they don't have a belief structure, or they have lost things because of their good nature. What about those people? How are you going to motivate those people?
Um, but it takes I don't know, it's a difficult one. I think I can talk for myself. I'm not sure how other people can motivate themselves. I think the only way you can do it is actually self-realization. If you realize you've got some sort of issue, anxiety, depression, or just overwhelm in terms of what's happening in today's times, um, all those things are quite destructive. So they can destroy your health, they can destroy your finances, your relationships. If you don't look after yourself, so you've got to, number one, learn to love yourself first.
Okay. You learn to love yourself first. That's the first point. Okay. So do we have Mary? She's not here yet. Okay. So we're waiting for the lovely Mary Cullen. We've had her on. We have had her on a few occasions. And I think be a good excuse to have a chat with her and see what she's doing. And she's down in the south. Lockdown's nearly finished, so things may be on the up where she's at. We don't know. We'll find out. She's Mary Cullen. I think was she the lady who's Miss MC Femem? Is that right? Is
That's the
that
one, yeah.
right, Lakhi? Excellent. And yeah, we'll ask her. But today's topic, starting your business, consultancy business or advisory service from home. So I think this alludes to how you would advise people to start their business from home using the RAC model, which is a unique opportunity to get into business, do work in business for free using social media. Is that right, Lucky?
Yeah.
You blanked out on us. I hope you're not changing your clothes.
That's right.
Okay,
So
you're back.
yeah,
Yeah, Lucky.
basically having access to a network, possibly social media. It's involved. It's almost like a social enterprise because you're helping people who may have some sort of health or financial issue and trying to get them back on their back in the straight and narrow in their business or in their property matters. Because even as we speak, I think there's at least 300,000 tenants which may or may not be able to pay their rental every month, and it's probably causing a lot of problems for landlords. Obviously, the tenants have got a problem as well because they're not getting the income. So people that are suffering at the moment are the people that have actually got businesses and properties, and they're self-employed, and they don't really have a steady income. So I think there's a lot of assistance required for people that may be stuck in a predicament. So we're looking to not only help assist people to start up their own business, but to be able to help other people. So it's a sort of semi-social enterprise in helping people who've got legal, financial, business issues, and they can't find easy solutions to them because the situation now is turned on its head. There's a hole in the way the markets is at the moment in property and in the legal side.
So how did the government handle the lockdown, the Lakhi, with property portfolio owners and their tenants? Where did the balance swing? Was it in favor of tenants? Was it in favor of landlords? Was it like a mix? Was it ensuring that the landlords got the money? And how did it happen? How was it all structured? How did they survive?
Well, they haven't really given any support to landlords. They've just given a bounce back, and not many landlords.
Hello?
Not many landlords have been given the opportunity to, given any opportunity financially, really, apart from bounce backs, but they've been quite difficult to get. Because if you're self-employed or a business, then it's not easy to get those sort of loans.
Okay.
I think
the bounce backs were for businesses, were they?
Mary was right in the background. Just gone.
Okay, so what I said to you is, what was the government policy? Was it giving money to landlords or not to landlords?
It's not really giving anything to landlords, really, not specifically to businesses.
So are you saying a lot of landlords probably ended out of pocket?
I would say it's difficult to determine. I would say a majority of landlords probably suffered because they weren't getting the income coming in from their tenants.
And tenants weren't paying their rentals, even though they were getting furloughs.
But a lot of ones were suffering from things like
What?
They weren't really getting their income, or they basically lost their jobs. There's a massive fallout from that, so there's a bit of knock-on effect to landlords.
Okay. Well, talking of knock-on effects, let's have Mary Cullen to come in and create a knock-on effect to the discussion. Can we have the lovely Mary Cullen on, please?
Hi, everyone.
Good morning, Mary. How you doing?
Hi, Lakhi. Happy day. I'm good. How you guys? Happy Monday.
Happy Monday. Yes, lovely to hear you. A wonderful, positive vibe.
It's fake. I wasn't feeling it about half an hour ago, but yeah, now that I see you guys, I'm all right again.
Good. Look, I was talking about it at the beginning of the topic. Talking about the topic for today being that the world is full of lovely people like Mary, like Lakhi. But if you can't find them, be one, become a lovely person. And I think Mary is an epitome of that saying. I'm not sure how many lovely people are in Mary's life, but Mary is got a lovely energy about her. Brings a lot of life in the fact that she's always smiling, always positive. And I think you don't lose anything by being that way. Sometimes it can take a lot of energy out of you. I believe that. Sometimes it's very difficult to stay positive when everything else around you seems to be falling apart. But it's always better to be positive than to be negative. Why? Positivity breeds positivity. And I'll give you a little example. The person who is personally known to me, she was out somewhere and she's got this lovely energy about her, very positive. Started to take my advice, being positive. Went to see somebody. No, she actually, and I spoke about it yesterday, last week as well. She handed one of her office, staff a small amount of money, not a large amount, but a small amount of money. She gave a bit to everyone, a bit like a thank you present for all of you girls looking after us here in the staff room and in the canteen and all that. And one of these young ladies who was married went home with that money, and it put a smile on the family's face, on the husband's face, on the family, and they were having some, domestic, like lots of husbands and wives have. But it cheered them up that day to see that somebody out of turn had handed them some money for no other reason than to say thank you. And not to say thank you because it was expected, but because she was just being positive. Now, that is an example. You can give money away to charity, but you can be a grumpy old man and give money away. It doesn't affect anyone. If you're giving it away with a positive vibe, a good energy, then that makes a lot of difference, because that energy can even be transmitted in the money or the action. So what do you say to that saying, Mary? Lots of lovely people in the world. If you can't find them, be one of them. What do you say?
Yeah, definitely. You can't go out finding positive people if you're not positive yourself. No,
it's back.
You will attract. You will attract people like yourself as well. I wouldn't say positivity is. I think it's something you have to work at. Be honest with you, and I think, yeah, it's always a choice, isn't it? If I'm not feeling positive, I've got to go out and get back out to nature. I'll probably go and do a 10K run, or I'll do something that, I think if you reconnect with nature or something, or gratitude, whatever, then that puts you back into feeling positive. But it's something, I mean, I've been, at times in my life, I've been very negative. I've been in depression and stuff. So I know the two sides. I grew up.
That's quite interesting.
Yeah, really, I know. People are amazed when I say that. I grew up with my mother was very depressed, very negative through my entire childhood. So I think I decided I was going to be the opposite of that, really. But that doesn't mean that it does affect you growing up in that environment. So I think I was talking to someone at the weekend who was feeling quite depressed, and you've got to take action when you're feeling negative. You've got to get out and do something positive. You've got to fake it till you start to feel it again. And I think negativity can really breed within itself, and you've got to catch it quite early. And so if you wake up two or 3 days in a row and you're feeling quite negative, you've got to catch that straight away and work out, why are you feeling negative? It's mainly fear or something. But again, it's all about really being conscious and being aware of your feelings and what's causing negativity. Positivity is obviously it's just choosing. Like, I can be having a really awful time and I still will choose to be positive, because that is the only choice, really. And I don't think it's talked about enough. I don't think people know how to access feeling positive or what have you. Maybe they feel like, I feel a bit fake. Also, talking about your problems or what have you is one thing, but sometimes that can't help, maybe doesn't help the situation. So the only way to get away from negativity is to do something else, to get out of it's a thought process, really, is to get away from the thoughts. And to do that, you've got to kind of go and do yoga, or go and run, or go and play with your kids, or, just something to get yourself away from yourself, breaks that pattern. They say as well that if you have, I think it's 25 seconds of negative, if it comes in these short bursts, if you break that pattern really quickly and think of a positive thought, that will help. But it's a snowball effect, negativity. And I know some people who are just negative their entire life. It's kind of like their way of being. So yeah, I always take the choice to be positive, but it takes work to be positive. Unless
I mean, you continue to fake it until you make it something that's your normal habit. I like that feeling. Did you seek professional advice to realize you were depressed, or you had these feelings of depression, or was it you just doing your own quick fix?
No, I mean, I think, at different points in my life, I've had depression for different reasons. I've had lots of postnatal depression. I've had major depression when I lost my business, which is more environmental or situation depression. And I suppose I had depression in my early 20s, which I think was a lot to do with hormones and stuff like that. So it really depends. People can get depression for all sorts of reasons. It can be a death. It can be a number of things happening in your life at once can cause depression. I think 3 out of every 5 people will have depression at some point in their life. So it's a very real thing. Also, very high achieving people are more prone to depression, believe it or not. And so yeah, for me, it was it's always a reason, and it's really, I have had sort of help at different times, but I do refuse to take any medication. I suppose because of my history. My mother was on heavy medication for about 15 years, so I've got children. I don't want to do that. I don't want to repeat that. So of course you get help and what have you, but it's a little bit like an addiction. You've got to break the cycle yourself and become aware of what you're doing. And sometimes I think people get medicated too quickly, and then I'm saying some people have, I get that, but some people, you go to the GP and people are being given antidepressants rather than being asked what's wrong. I normally
that takes time. That really is a time thing. So doesn't it relate back to the fact then people, like you said, are really successful? They all have an element of depression. Lakhi Singh, have you ever had depression?
Not all.
The question goes to you. not all, but it's quite understandable. When you're successful, people only want to know you for what they can get from you, so you don't get quality relationship. Have you had depression, Lucky?
I don't think I have. I think I probably suffer from mild anxiety from time to time, and I think probably when I get a bit overwhelmed, I have 2-3 major things going on in your life, maybe to do with family or business. Something goes wrong, can't help but you, as a human, there's a fear aspect, and once you start dwelling on those couple of things, before you know it, you could end up in some sort of severe depression or anxiety. But I found a solution anyway, which is just think of Mary Cullen, and then the problem goes away, isn't it?
Excellent. Okay, so you're the type of person who relies on someone else's energy. Well, there you are. That goes into the saying: if you can't find good people, then be one yourself. Lucky's case, he has someone like Mary to take inspiration from. Right. Okay, Lucky. The topic, which is starting up your own advisory or consultancy business. I know we refer to the RAC, which is still in its early stages, because we're trying to support people who are probably in a very difficult place, not knowing the certainty of their job after this lockdown and after the furlough finishes in September. Is it September it's supposed to finish, Lucky? Can you tell us?
I think it's meant to finish in September.
In September, yeah?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do you think a lot of people are going to wait until the last minute to scramble and find something? Or do you think people are going to be quite proactive and realize, look, they've got to get out and get it done themselves. They're not going to get the job back, or the job's going to be on the line. There's going to be more people available, less jobs available. What do you think?
I think a lot of people are probably sort of mentally stuck a little bit because they've been stuck at home. There's probably some sort of paralysis there, a bit of anxiety, fear around what do they do next. So I think conversation around depression, anxiety, and trying to take action, I think is a critical one, because you need to ideally, mentally, you need to be strong and thinking ahead about what you're doing. So I'd encourage anybody that's actually likely that they've got a high risk that they may not be taken on by the company after the furlough to be thinking ahead, because there's a risk that they may not continue with you. If they put you in that furlough for that long, they may not actually require you, but they may just actually be seeking the rewards of furlough. So I think there's no such thing as a sort of permanent job anyway in this market. So I think thinking ahead, doing your research, starting looking at franchises or ways of creating a new income I think it's critical, really, planning ahead.
Okay, Mary, what do you say? What do you think is going to happen?
Yeah, I totally agree with Lakhi. I don't know I don't personally know what the statistics are. I don't know how many people are left on furlough. I think if you haven't particularly been working in your company for a whole year, you've been furloughed, that's not good, is it? Because obviously the other thing is employers are thinking, oh, actually we can seem to be able to manage quite well without a number of people. So I think a lot of people have been using the furlough time, though, to upskill or to look into their own small businesses or something like that. So I don't think anyone who's on furlough for a very long period of time is not aware that their job is at risk, and they are trying to find ways to find something else. I think the people most affected is the young people. who, you know, don't have as much experience or what have you. You know, probably not as adaptable as someone who's had a career and done a number of things. So I think it's very difficult for them. And they are the ones that, because I've got HMOs and some of those people are still on furlough, and they're all under 25. So unfortunately, they are waiting to see when they're going to go back to work. But I don't know. I'm not sure really. And obviously, a lot of them work in hospitality. So we're trying to see how that recovers, really. So yeah, we know that the true cost and the true numbers from what's happened in the pandemic in terms of employment, we still don't know what they are. Will we get to September and he will push it to the end of the year? Possibly, because I think they're very aware of keeping people's spirits high, keeping people positive, even things like stamp duty, keeping the big cog of property go, you know. So I think they may play it out longer, perhaps. But yeah, you know, so many jobs have gone, so much has changed, so much has gone online and will not come offline. So there's going to be a massive, I feel there would be quite a big increase in the unemployment. Yeah. And I don't think everybody has the skill to be self-employed or would know where to start with that, entrepreneurial, self-employed, what have you, because that's still just a very small percentage of people, really. So we don't really know yet.
Okay, so Lakhi, I mean, you're someone who's had both experiences. Working top 4, Deloitte, NCR, AT&T. You've worked for big companies on a good salary. Is that life really easier? Are people prone to falling into, you know, a drift of comfortable existence without pushing the boundaries? Do you think people in that mindset have the ability to change themselves and become self-employed? What do you say, Lakhi? What do you say? Do people got, you know, 9 to 5s? Are they that easily able to readapt and re-engineer themselves, or are they more used to the comfort of going to the office and being paid at the end of the month for the job or the work that they do? What do you say?
I think the longer somebody's been doing it, the more difficult it is for them to deal with the change. So I was actually myself somewhat trapped because I was working for at least about, as an employee, for at least about 18 years or something before I thought this is a bit too much. I don't really want to be stuck working for somebody forever and ever. So I think about 10
Why
years.
was that, Lakhi? What was the reason? What brought that moment to you?
I think it was the fear of the unknown with employers, because you're always at risk if you're large corporations. They're always changing, and you don't really know where you stand sometimes with companies. So although the money's very good, I had a bit of anxiety around the fear of actually losing my job for 2 years, even though I didn't lose it while I was at quite a large company. And so the fear alone created a lot of anxiety. And I think the reality was that I was there for about another 2 years, but had I just enjoyed what I was doing, it might have been a different story, but I wasn't really enjoying the job either. So I think sometimes, again, can get stuck in roles which pay well, but may not give you satisfaction or make you feel like you're undermined in your role. So having the freedom to run your own business or create your own income opportunity is something that I was aspiring to from quite an early age, from about the age of about 24, 25. And it's probably the tougher route in some ways, having your own business, especially if you haven't got the tools psychologically to be able to, understand how a business operates, how to manage a business, how to make it profitable. So it's all new, but it's all exciting. So I'm a lot more passionate in my business than I was, I suppose, the same way as an employee. Although I did actually enjoy some of the senior roles I had in some of the larger corporations. As I used to manage the global internet presence for Deloitte, the largest accountancy firms in the world. So that was very exciting, doing something above and beyond of what I thought I was capable of at the time.
Okay. Mary, what do you say? Have you ever been employed? Did you leave employment to start your business, or have you always been self-employed from the beginning? Did you have a transition?
No, I've had a corporate career, which I did very well at, which I did enjoy most of the time, but there's a very high level of stress. And I think, you've got no control over the work level either, really. So if you're good, you can get burnt out quite quickly. I got very burnt out in my corporate career.
Where were you?
Sorry, I worked for Air Miles, which was British Airways. So I was a senior account director for them. But I also, I came from a computer science background, so I was involved with creating and being responsible for creating online systems and stuff like that. And then I moved more on the client side. So yeah, it was it was a non-stop workhorse. It was just weekends, and sometimes you work all night and incredible deadlines, and but then there was the other side of it, which was the kind of social aspect. You've got to probably have more self-development, or because you might be working with people who are quite inspiring, but I think eventually you outgrow it, or you burn out, or you want something else, because inherently you're working for someone else and you've got no real control over that. So yeah.
Did you burn out? Did you burn out, or did you just decide to start working for yourself?
My first big corporate job, I burnt out to the point where I handed in my notice and traveled the world for 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. And then I came back to the UK and got back into corporate life for maybe another 3 years. And again, I was repeating a pattern. I'd get promoted quite quickly. Before I knew it, I'd have people I was managing. Before I knew it, I was taking on more and more. And so at the same time, I was setting up my own business because, I just wanted to work for myself at that point. Yeah. So it depends. You either have a kind of corporate career where you're climbing the ladder, or you have a job which you enjoy, but you're very set in your hours. It depends how ambitious you are or not. And actually, the people sometimes that I worked with who weren't maybe as ambitious seem to have a much better work-life balance than what I had. So,
were you ambitious, or were you just conscientious? What's the difference? Lakhi Singh, tell us. What's the difference between being ambitious and being conscientious?
Conscientiousness is when you're almost really worried about the organization or the company you're working for, and just very empathetic to the company's needs. So that's more about the external environment and trying to keep them happy and that sort of thing. And then ambition is a bit different, which is that it's more about your own personal objectives and reaching your potential, and just going out there and just ensuring that.
What do you think? What do you think Mary? What do you think Mary was? Was she conscientious or ambitious?
My guess is that I think I don't know, to be honest, because it's not.
Yeah.
I think she was conscientious. I think she was ambitious. Conscientious.
I'd say
Someone who is
conscientious.
probably
And
more
then,
conscientious was ambitious.
Just went with the flow. She had a lot of things thrown at her, which basically probably helped her to realize her potential. I think that's my guess, but maybe probably better to talk for herself on that matter.
Yes, I think conscientious people are always a good asset, and they automatically become the center of focus for owner businesses. Where somebody wants to get the job done, they rely upon the conscious person. It's not always ambition, but Mary, what do you say to that? Are you conscientious or are you ambitious?
I suppose I was more entrepreneurial, if I'm honest, because I would be coming up with ways to grow and expand the business, and it wasn't my business. So I was entrepreneurial, really. So I was always coming up with ideas and systems and ways to scale and expand. And that was always going quite senior, I suppose, but I was never particularly getting the recognition for that, really, to be honest. So I guess it depends, whether you can tell straight away when someone comes to work for you and they want to run with their own things, they want to create their own part within the business. They're really good people to have on board. And so I would say that was more me, to be honest. But of course, if you're working at a certain level, you've got to be conscientious, diligent. You've got to be all those things as well. So yeah, when you're working at a corporate level, you've got to give a lot of yourself, obviously, especially if you want to move up and get promoted and create your own departments and stuff like that. No, everybody wants that. Depends what you are. Depends.
Talking of going up and expanding, we've got the lovely Mandy and Sonia giving a shout out this morning. Good morning, Mandy and Sonia. Lakhi Singh, what are you doing to expand at the moment?
I love eating food.
You what?
I love food. That's helping me to expand.
Excellent. Yes. What else?
Okay, well, for a serious note, obviously with the rescue associate model, we're looking to take that up a couple of notches. So just looking to tweak some of the technology around that at the moment, the videos, the training, and the access and the usability. So quite a lot going on in that space. That's going to help us to expand. And on top of that, we're also launching a prop tech company to compete against Rightmove. That's quite expansive. That's quite entrepreneurial, you could say. So that's very exciting. What else? We're also beginning to work with a lot of accountants, solicitors, and solvency practitioners, trying to help people that may have some sort of financial issue and getting that up and running. So, yeah, a lot of expansion from a business point of view.
Expansion, right. Okay, Mary, what advice you've got for people who are trying to set up their own advisory or consultancy or similar? Because you've got something which is like that. You've got a consultancy type of model, haven't you? You advise businesses how to keep a branding ethos across their HMOs and stuff. Is that right?
Yeah, I do a number of things really. One of them is I do have an interior business, a branding interiors for property companies and landlords. But also I am currently putting all my expertise in terms of property and design and mindset onto like an online learning portal, my own online learning, because of my experiences of what I've done and working in property abroad and working in property here, and all my learnings from mindset and how to start again and all that, I just think is so useful for people. So I'm doing that as well. I think right now, it's because basically now it's all about expert knowledge. I don't know if you're picking up on this. So it's about they're saying everybody has some level of expert knowledge in something. And this is being played out, especially in things like TikTok or what have you, where, my son is 11 and he'll do a little TikTok video about Star Wars or something. Because he's doing something. So he's got some expert knowledge there, what have you. And he'll get like 20,000 views or something. So I noticed what's happened is, especially the under 25s, they've really been able to work out that all this expert knowledge and expertise, or even just watching people online, has become massive. And I feel now what people are doing, especially with lockdown, is they're working out their skill set, what's special to them, and then creating it into an online learning knowledge package, which is a really great way to start a business, because obviously people will pay for that as a one-off or pay monthly or something. So that's become very big and can be a really good way to make an income. And I think you need a number of different streams of income, not just one particular stream. So I think that's where a lot of people are heading. They're creating virtual businesses much more than physical businesses. And I think that's where it's definitely going. Definitely. Okay. There is a lot of apps and stuff that can help you set all of that up. And I'd recommend people probably go down that route, or look at, that might be one way to get started and be self-employed. And that can kind of run in the background, and then that can grow. So yeah, it's don't have all your eggs in one basket.
That's excellent advice. Okay, Lakhi, what do you say to that? Mary's advice there. Don't stick your eggs in one basket.
I think he's disappeared.
Right, okay. If you can hear us, and you do come back, ask the question. Stick your eggs in one basket. Don't stick your eggs in any basket.
I've done my eggs in one basket a few times. Yeah, and it's not a good idea. And also, if you drop the basket, all the eggs get broken. So also, maybe not just have all your eggs in one industry as well. So yeah. Because
what's the metaphor for dropping your basket? What does that mean? How would you drop your basket? Is that like dropping? Is that like dropping something else? Is it just the same as dropping your?
No, dropping your basket is when
keep it clean. Yeah, dropping something. Is it the same as dropping something that you do willingly, or is it more a clumsy moment dropping?
No, because if you work in a certain industry and you've got your eggs in that industry, and you think, oh, I'm doing okay, and then the industry disappears overnight, that's your basket. So don't. So I've had that happen. Working being abroad working in property, 2008, the entire basket disappeared. So overnight, the whole property market in the world crashed. And just look what happened. So had I had another business in another industry, I would not have been as severely affected as I was.
What do you think you would have done, which would have been another industry? What would be the way of spreading your risk?
Well, I think everybody needs to have financial investments, really, that are bringing in another income stream. If you have some online expertise business, that's bringing in another income stream. You may have something that's unencumbered. You know, you don't have a mortgage or something on something, so people rent. But it's just de-risking, really, and being able to know that your overheads are going to be covered, and no matter what, you've got that kind of covered, really, over, say, 2 or 3 different industries. Then it'll give you back the time to recoup yourself. Like, this is what's just happened in the last year is another indication of that. I've also got a holiday let business. Overnight, that was just severely affected. So I've had to close some staff. I've had to pivot. I've had to start some other businesses. But because I had other things in place, that didn't affect me as severely as it would have had if that was the only business I was in. So did we ever imagine hotels would close? Did we, so we really need to look at what happened in the last year, and you need to look at what you're doing, and you need to say, how severely affected was I? Have I only survived because I've got a bounce back loan, or I've got some universal credit or something? And if that's the case, then I need to create other elements to my income stream.
But last year was a bit unique, wasn't it? Because every aspect of business was closed down. Anything to do with people was longer. It was no longer.
Some people thrived. Some businesses did extremely well, and some businesses closed down. Food, supermarkets, food, takeaways, deliveries. The property industry did not close. People were still on site. They were still building. People were still selling and buying. So property has stayed afloat. But gyms closed. Certain industries completely closed, and other things really zoomed, like online
manufacturing. That continued because it didn't need, especially automated manufacturing. That probably continued. So I've got financial investments, and because the market was so volatile, they did quite well. Do not have all your eggs in one basket, because that is painful. So we're not putting all our eggs in one basket. We're not pulling down. We're not throwing down the basket. It's not being dropped down by us. It can be done by circumstance. So if you you set up this, interior design business. How did you start then? Just so that people get to know what are the principles in starting your own business?
Well, I think it's like anything. It's a product. You have a product that you want people to buy. Whether the product is your expertise, the product is something physical, the product is, so it's just having a product and marketing it and selling it and finding customers. That's it, really. So as far as my design business, that's just come out of my experience in property. So I haven't even woke up and go, I'm going to set up an interior design business. It's just people have come to me and asked me to help them. So I don't think, people buy franchises, people, we watch Dragon's Den. We see what it's like when people have ideas to do something. A lot of people have got Amazon products. Obviously, if you're going to start your own business and you have no business experience, then you probably need to get some. There's a British, there's lots of support out there for people starting out in businesses, especially under a certain age and stuff. So yeah, if you get yourself onto some of these startup courses and that kind of thing. But yeah, a lot of people start a business without probably doing proper due diligence, sink all of their retirement money into, I don't know, some retail shop that, just not going to work. So yeah, I think starting your own business is not a mean feat, really. I always think people should start. I mean, I've started businesses and worked full time. I've done that a lot. So even getting back into property when I came back from abroad, I had to work jobs and then do that in the off time and raise kids at the same time. So I never recommend anybody gives up their job and goes to start a business. You've got to run them parallel, and you've got to have some cash flow. So yeah, I think people can get themselves in a real kind of mess starting a business, giving up the job, blah blah blah, and then it may not work out. So but yeah, anyone can start a business. You can start a business in your bedroom, selling something. So even start a business in something else, not particularly what you want to do, so you get the skill of what it's like having a customer, what it's like, selling something. I think, unfortunately, our school system's not encouraging children, young adults, to start businesses. I think we should all be starting businesses quite young, small businesses, and once you start getting those business skills, you can then go on to something. Really start small, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. We've got the last minute, I think, and Rajesh obviously also refers to the RAC model and says, well, you need a laptop, you need a telephone, and you need a bit of knowledge on how to use social media, which is an easy way of starting a business, and it's all in your own control. But I think, Mary, you make a very important point that there's an element of balance, and you can't jump into things. You've really got to do a bit of due diligence, and in the due diligence, you've got to come up with a balance of work and life, and you may have to do more work, less life at the beginning while you go through transition. But ultimately, running your own business, running a consultancy or advisory, or talking to people, helping people, is a noble cause, and it's very rare you get the situation where your business helps people and you make money. That's what we relate back to the RAC model, say it is helping people and making money at the same time. So with that, Mary, we'll have to say goodbye to you. Lovely meeting you as usual. Always a pleasure to have you on. Lakhi Singh obviously has fallen through the gap somewhere. We will look forward to seeing you again.
Lakhi's back.
I knew you come back, was he?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because of the positive vibe on the phone, I think my phone overheated.
Overheated, Mary. You got his phone overheating. He's dropping his eggs into baskets, and his phone's overheated. So take care, everyone. See you again on the Alternative Business.